will call the regular meeting of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury to order. And we ask that you please silence your cell phones, and if you want to speak on anything on the agenda, please fill out a blue slip and bring it to Miss Jessica up front. We'll now have the invocation and the pledge by Mr. Abshire.
Thank you, Mr. President. Holy Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support for this meeting. We ask you you are the source of all peace, and in you we find our peace. We ask that you would help us to approach this meeting with a spirit of peace and harmony. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Abshire. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abshire.
Here.
Mr. Andrew Pond.
Here.
Mr. Barris.
Here.
Mr. Burley.
Here.
Mr. Clement.
Here.
Ms. Eason.
Here.
Mr. Guillory.
Here.
Mr. Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Landry.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Marcantel.
Here.
Mr. Quinn.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Stelly is unable to attend, and President Barty.
Here.
And you do have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Item 1, hold a public hearing at 5:45 p.m. ordering said properties to show cause as to why the structures said property should not be condemned. We will come back to that item. We will move down to 2A, appearance by Dr. Wade Roos, 8th President of McNeese State University. Vice President Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. President, guests, and fellow jurors. I'm a little bit slow in reading tonight because the place where I buy my glasses gave me the wrong lens. Try that on the side when you're going to be reading something off the text, right?
You know enough. You don't need to read.
So if I get it all
Just your buddy. Just your buddy.
Uh-huh.
I don't need all that.
You know how on occasion I invite coaches, or athletes, or whatever the case may be, to come talk a little bit about McNeese. Well, I'm thrilled tonight to have the 8th president of McNeese State University with us here. Mr. Roos has a varied past, most of it legal. If there's anybody in Calcasieu Parish that loves McNeese more than him, I'd like to meet them. He became president of McNeese, literally went through a grueling selection process, survived all of that, only to find out that the mansion across the street from the university cannot be lived in. It's still being repaired from the storms. So he and his wife promptly moved into a dorm room.
Burton Hall.
He told me he might go out for cheerleading. He's still deciding whether or not he wants to do that. Spent most of his career in the private sector, where he eventually played a key role in selling a marine transportation business after advancing his academic degrees. Dr. Roos was on the staff at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Initially, he served as an economic outreach specialist, whatever that is. You'll tell us about that. And from there, moved into financial market groups as a policy research specialist. He was the principal of a registered investment advisory firm and has held several leadership roles in higher education. He was associate dean at the W.A. Frank College of Business and the interim director of the Alliance Bank Economic Policy. As I said, it's a little bit trouble reading at this point. At McNeese State University, he served as the dean of college of business, vice president of university advancement, executive vice president, currently serving as the president, of course. 3 years of Dr. Roos's undergraduate experience were living and learning on the McNeese campus. During his senior year in college, he took a job in the marine transportation business, transferred to Nicholls State University, and completed his BA undergraduate degree. Further degrees were obtained, MBA from the University of New Orleans, MA and PhD economics from the University of Illinois in Chicago, and he could go on, I could go on and on, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let him come up here and tell you a little bit about what he does at Michigan State University, and a little bit about some 100 million plus achievements and stuff that you're building out there. Dr. Wade Roos, ladies.
Appreciate you so much. Mr. President, thank you guys so much. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, my friend, I look around this group, what a home team we got here. Every one of you are like a big supporter of McNeese and makes me feel like, hey, we can conquer the world. And I look at, and in my previous role, I raised a lot of money, got a lot of money off of pretty much everybody on that up there. So really, really appreciate the opportunity to be here and address you today and talk about some of the partnerships that we have got moving forward in terms of, that we couldn't be doing without you. Ron asked me to talk a little bit about sort of the challenges that we start off with. I don't want to really talk too much about that, but I will tell you that the structure of higher education in the great state of Louisiana is a little bit challenged. And moving forward, it's probably not sustainable when we look at our population trends and the amount of universities that we are currently serving. And the funding model has changed to very much a quasi-private versus a quasi-public. You hear me saying that all the time until people are going to say that's Dr. Roos's words. So I say it all the time. And as a result of that, you're going to see behavior change in these organizations where they become more and more private-looking, meaning you're going to be able to truly be focused on the workforce of your region. For us, what do you think about for us? That is a glorious, glorious thing, because we live in a very, very dynamic and hot economic part of the world. And if you're the regional institution in that part of the world and you see this trend that is happening in higher education to force you to be more sort of focused, you're very thankful to be located in Southwest Louisiana and in Calcasieu Parish. So challenges are real, but more importantly, the opportunities are better and larger and bigger. And I'm so giddy. I wake up at 4 in the morning. I go to bed around midnight because I'm so excited about the opportunities that lay in front of us. Now I get to talk about those opportunities. So we're about the storm. As we all know, we're all a little still shocked by what we went through, I think, when we start thinking about it. But we had $200 million of damage on our campus. We are about $100 million complete. We got another $100 million to go that's been caught up in funding and FEMA models, but it's finally starting to take off a little bit. So if you go on our campus right now, you see the football stadium's coming back. It's about $30 million that's coming back. We broke ground on a brand new student union, which is essential for us to truly have student experiences on our campus. If we're gonna leverage our core competencies as a culture that love each other, right? I mean, you come to a meeting like this and I see everybody, it tells you a little bit about our culture, right? We love eating together, talking together, having fun together, fellowship. That's who we are as a community. If you're gonna do that as a university, we gotta leverage that. And the way you leverage that is to truly have real dynamic student engagement opportunities on our campus so they can develop their networks that will probably last a lifetime that's truly developed on our campus. In order to do that, you gotta have a dynamic student union. And we just broke ground on that thing, and that's coming. Once that's finished, for those of you that attended McNeese, the old ranch, like I was here in 88, 89, and 90, and we used to call the new ranch the new ranch. They still call the new ranch the new ranch, and we're 2024. The old ranch is gonna finally get taken down. It should be down, I would say by February. By Mardi Gras, the old ranch will be done, even though the new ranch, the new union, which will not be called the new ranch. It will be called the Leslie Richard Student Union, due to a $9 million gift from that family to build the union. So it will be the Leslie Richard Student Union, and it's going to go where a memorial gym and everything was, the Farrar Hall when we were there. We've combined the colleges of businesses and the College of Education into the Burton building, so we'll have both of those colleges in that building. And we'll have a brand new student union that's going to take care of that whole side and really change what our campus and our quad feels like, or re-encompasses the quad. Eventually, we're hoping to move into the house. I have a beautiful place in Big Lake. You can tell by this accent that I never lost. And even though I was gone for 20-some years, I'm proud to speak a little Cajun and have this accent, even though I try to cover it up at times. I have a beautiful place in Big Lake. Love being on the lake, but if you're gonna be president, you gotta be president. So we moved on campus, we moved into dorm, still married. It's been like a month, we're still married, that's a good thing. And no, she's incredible, and walks our little dog on campus every day. That's become the highlight. People run out of the offices to go see her and her dog walking on campus. So we don't have kids. We joke that we got 6,061 kids. And we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that every one of them were available if they need to speak to someone when they're at a time where they're not comfortable speaking to a professor, an advisor, or even a parent. I don't have to tell you, when you're in college, sometimes what seems to be the most easiest problem, but you look back on it 30 years later and you're thinking, I can't believe that kept me up at night. But when you're in the middle of it and you're a college student, it is like earth-shattering. So we want to make sure we're accessible and that they can come to us and make sure that we can keep them moving in a positive trajectory moving forward. So we're going to live on campus at least 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week, and I'm going to go home tomorrow because I got to go check my crab traps. But other than that, we're going to be on campus in Burton Hall getting that all done. But I want to leave you. I know, look, you get me talking about McNeese, we'll be here till tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. There's so much exciting stuff going on. But there's one thing I want to tell this group about, because it wouldn't have happened without you. Tuesday, on my letter that's coming out, on Tuesday we had another Zoom meeting with all the members of PHMSA. The mayor was there. We had representatives from ULL, from Southern, who are the co-leads on the research group. We had the workforce development team was in there. We had the Zoom screen looked like it was a very large Hollywood square thing. I mean, it was full of squares. So, and we kept pressing and pressing. As you know, we were building the LNG Center of Excellence because of you. That building would not have happened if this group didn't step up and do it. So we started building it thinking that it's going to be a future workforce development group. And by the same time, Senator Kennedy's running a federal bill that's allowing for an LNG Center for Safety that actually comes with funding. So we wanted some of that too, some continuing funding. So we started jockeying for position. We got partnered up with ULL. They're looking for a resource consortium. ULL now is a Research One institution. With that collaboration, it's been dragging on for about a year now. They made it known in that meeting that it would be located on our campus. So we're going to now have what I like to refer to as a super center. It's a super center. So it's going to be our center plus the national centers, all going to be rolled up into one big center where we do workforce development. We do all of our education in terms of our certificates, and most importantly, we'll have the research consortium being launched out of there. So all of the paper that's going to be done, or the work that's going to be done for the LNG industry, you will see it coming out of McNeese State University's campus. I think that's a huge deal. So I'll leave you with my vision real quick about that building. You walk in there around 7 o'clock in the morning. When you walk in your dog, you should see some folks driving up in a brand new, beautiful building. That should be the federal regulators who are now going to rent the entire second story because they're going to be located on our campus. You get in there about 9 o'clock, you're going to have a class going on for an engineering certificate that supports the LNG industry. At 12 o'clock, we may have a business class that has a certificate in accounting or finance that has to do with the LNG deal being taught in that building. Get in the afternoon, we may have a little conference going on. It can open up to a little conference hall where we can talk about our industry, not only LNG, but safe burning fuels and the future of energy right here in our parish, because who we are as we are leading. And when you go home at night, no matter which medicine you decide to take, because none of them are accurate, you can be watching CNN or Fox News, the cutting edge research in the industry, in the energy industry is going to be, according to this research just released, we have this evidence, or the empirical evidence is overwhelming. And this has been released from the LNG Center located on McNeese State University. That's the vision, and we couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Roos. Does anyone have any comments for Dr. Roos? Thank you, sir. Best of luck to you and McNeese. And what is it you say? Go Pokes.
Yeah, you all got to know that. Go Pokes. You always say go Pokes. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen.
All right. 5:45, so hold a public hearing at 5:45, ordering said owners to show cause as to why the structures on said properties should not be condemned. 1A, do we have anybody here that wants to speak on 1A? 307 Thicket Road in Sulphur. We have Mr. Paul Hennigan. Mr. Hennigan, please state your name and address for the records, sir.
My name is Paul Hennigan. My address is 1749 West Victory Road in Moss Bluff. I was here a month ago and spoke on this property. She has had somebody come and look at it, and they say they can repair it. We were stuck trying to get the fire marshal office to give us what we needed to do. We've called, left messages, did a lot of things, but Mr. Robinson and Mr. Kane have really stepped up this week. They contacted me to see where we were at, told them my dilemma, and they, about an hour or so later, they called me and gave me the number for someone at the fire marshal's office, a direct line. I called that lady. Of course, she didn't answer, but she did call me back though. And she has given me all the information that I need, sent me an email. We have contacted some people, and we are on the right track now. So I am gonna ask for another extension, and because we are moving forward with getting this structure to see if we can get it repaired to get the permits. That's what our situation was with the fire marshal office. So, and I do appreciate Mr. Kane and Mr. Robinson. They really stepped up and helped me out with that. So, I would
Mr.
like to have
Andrew
another
Pont?
extension.
Yeah, Mr. Hennigan, yes, I do recall that you came last month and you said you had the means necessary to move forward. I've been in contact with Mr. Crane as well, and I'd ask if there's been any correspondence with them. They had to reach out to you, and that's concerning to me. Your exact comment last month was, hey, listen, all we need is 30 days, we have the means to make this happen, but yet nothing has happened. If you called multiple times to the fire marshal and you weren't getting any return calls, it seems like to me you would have approached staff early on and say, listen, I'm trying, I'm not getting any response. There's a lot involved here. I mean, to me, this looks pretty cost prohibitive, looking at this property. My initial reaction is to offer a motion to condemn. I'm gonna offer a motion for 30 days to work with you, but if there is no movement and no working with staff and we see no progress, when you come back for the next 30 days, I won't be in that position to offer another 30 days.
I understand. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yep.
So, Mr. President, I'll move that we defer for 30 days.
Okay, hold on one second, miss. We have a motion and a second to defer for 30 days, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Barris.
So, the last time you were here, you had everything you needed to move forward. So now that you're in touch with the fire marshal, you have a list. So you still don't know if it's gonna be feasible. So
That is correct.
is that,
right?
so you don't know anything right now. You just know you have the list.
I have the list. I'll have to contact an electrician that's licensed to come look at it. And then after they approve it, then you gotta get someone to come out that will level the trailer that is also licensed, and they have to sign off. And then once you get that paper, once they sign off on the form that Ms. Troxy sent me from the State Fire Marshal Office, you bring that to the parish permit office, and they give you a permit, and then you can move forward on repairing the trailer.
How much is a new trailer?
So, I don't know.
I
how
don't know,
much a
man.
new
That seems
trailer
like
is.
an awful lot of headache. But if you're telling us that you're making some movement for real this time, I will support Mr. Andrew Pont's motion. But
I
that
can't-
thing looks bad.
It does look bad, and the lady that owns it does have the means to repair it, and so she wants to repair it, and I can assure you there will be some movement now, because we have the right thing. We actually have some electrician coming, and we have somebody lined out that's supposed to come level it if the electrician will say what we have to do and approve it and that type of thing. So, yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Andrew Punt and a second by Mr. Markentile to defer for 30 days. Any other discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. 1B, 3530 Deer Run Road in Gillis. Do we have anybody here to speak on 3530 Deer Run Road in Gillis?
Motion to condemn and remove in 30
Second.
days.
We have a motion by Mr. Quinn and a second by Mr. Barish to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1C, 4035 Ellis Street, Lake Charles. Is anyone here to speak on 4035 Ellis Street in Lake Charles?
Move to condemn.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
what was that address on that?
4035 Ellis Street.
All right, I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1D, 2352 North Flounder Drive in Lake Charles. Is there anyone here to speak on 2352 North Flounder Drive?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hayes and a second by Mr. Landry to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1E, 332 Pretium Road in Lake Charles. Anyone here to speak on 332 Pretium Road in Lake Charles?
Move to condemn and remove in 30 days.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Lewis to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1F, 7686 Copperfield Drive in Lake Charles. Is there anyone here to speak on 7686 Copperfield Drive?
Move to condemn and remove in 30 days.
We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Ms. Eason to remove and condemn in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1G, 7798 Elliott Road in Lake Charles. Anyone here to speak on 7798 Elliott Road? Do we have a blue slip? Someone's coming to the podium. Sir, did you fill out a blue slip?
I'm speaking on behalf of my mom. This is for my house.
Sir,
as well.
state your name and address for the
Ronnie
record.
LeBlue, 7979 Nelson Road.
Okay.
So the house belongs to my mom, and she's 79, about to be 80. There is some progress going on the inside of the house. I would just like an extension for 30 days to kind of get moved forward, gut some stuff on the inside, and clean out the, clear the garage, and then in 30 days, if it looks like it's not worth it, we're gonna demo it.
So do you have a permit or do you have,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
you have a licensed contractor?
I don't have a licensed contractor. I've kind of been doing it myself. I'm a one-man show, and my mom is on a fixed income. So we have the metal to fix the roof. Some of it got stolen from the property. It's that now in my house, and I do have some vinyl to put on the walls and repair. It's just finding time. So, and I do have help. We've been clearing out the inside. Like I said, this house is almost 60 years old. So, and I'd say she's a hoarder, but she was a hoarder. So we're cleaning the inside to get it, like I said, to get it to where we can gut it and see if it's worth saving.
And how long has that house been like that?
She's been living at my house for a little over a year because of that. Now
What-
that's
what-
all cleared
How
out
did it get
now.
so damaged is my question.
Ma'am,
How did it get so damaged?
from the hurricanes.
From
The
Laura?
last, yes, ma'am. Laura ripped the metal roof off the front, and we put tarps in it, and I lost a lot of stuff in my house. So in the meantime, this house, the tarps kind of leaked, and that in the garage, that's in the garage, that's not in the house, which is not part of the main structure. It is part of the main structure, but there's no load-bearing walls that would mess up anything.
It
Mr.
does
Landry.
look like it would cost a whole lot more to repair than it's worth.
That's why I'm just asking so we can get to that part to see, because actually that structure, the interior structure is pretty firm.
Finish.
And you need an extension for 30 days to get a licensed contractor?
I'm
And-
just looking for an extension for 30 days to get in there. We almost have the whole inside cleaned out to where we can start gutting, see if the interior walls are good enough, or actually the exterior from the inside, if it's worth saving. Now, the upper structure is worth saving. You know, it's part of the house is on piers and parts on a slab. Then we'll make that determination, and I can show the improvements or whatever.
Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Crane, does he have a permit?
Mr. Landry, he had a permit, but the permit expired.
I kind of figured that's what I was gonna hear.
And
Oh,
so,
I didn't realize the permit expired.
permit is expired.
So you're doing work illegally.
Well,
Whatever you're doing
Oh.
is not
We're
legal.
not doing any work. We're clearing out the inside of the house. No physical work has been done to the house. During the permit, when I first got the permit, I tore the pump shed down and stuff like that. No physical work besides.
You're gonna have to get a permit. That's the first thing you're gonna
Okay.
have to do before you do anything else. Is that correct, Mr. Crane?
yes, sir, and the other thing he needs to do is we need a list of the repairs that need to be done and before we issue a permit, because we're in this process right now. We're in this condemnation process, and that is part of the ordinance, is for them to provide a list of the repairs necessary to get this thing.
Which may save him a whole lot of
Yes, sir.
heartache.
Yes, sir.
Because once you get the list, and the list isn't good enough, he's gonna know that ahead of time before he spends a whole bunch of money on something that's gonna be condemned and torn down anyway.
That's correct.
So really, it's not only to protect the neighbors, it's gonna protect you. That's
Yes,
all. Thank you.
I provided a list for the original permit, was the metal and everything else, and the eve board.
Right, so does he need to get another permit to proceed?
He will, eventually, yes, he will need to do that. But if he's just cleaning out stuff and not do it rebuilding or anything like that, he'll need to, that's fine, but he'll need to get a permit to any reconstruction or anything like that.
Okay, and do
Even
you,
if he decides to demolition, he needs a demolition permit.
right,
Correct.
okay, so you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, motion to defer for 30
Okay,
days.
Before that, Mr. Barris.
Is this, do you have it closed off?
Yes,
You have,
sir.
there's
is
no
closed
points of
off.
entry?
No.
Because I know that's usually the other concern about the neighbors is.
There's no,
uh,
the garage door, there's a crack this big, but the house is locked. That's just the garage. The house is locked. There's no the one broken window is covered with plywood. These pictures are pretty old.
I got
Ms. Eason.
you. I yield back.
You have a motion.
Motion to defer for 30 days.
We have a motion by Ms. Eason and a second by Mr. Quinn to defer for 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1H.
Thank you.
20, thank you, sir. 2883 Agnes Road in Lake Charles. We have, let's see, Miss Susan Cannon.
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Susan Cannon, 2883 Agnes Road, Lake Charles, 70605.
Okay. Tell us what you're here for, Miss
Oh,
Cannon.
I'm sorry. There's a recommendation to demolish my house, but I've been trying to get a permit on it. I've got a contractor, I've got the funds to completely finish it, and a list here of what it needs. So I don't understand why they won't issue a permit.
Okay, Mr. Crane, do you have anything? I think there used to be a permit, is that correct?
No, sir. Well, yes, sir, there was, and that permit expired, but I have not seen a list, unless that just got submitted today.
No, sir, and I have a copy with me. But also, there was a permit, but all that work was done when the house was moved there. So all that was done. And then now I need a new permit, which I've been trying to secure, and I haven't been able to. But I have, the pictures and the list of what needs to be done. It's $18,000. It was a conflict with my insurance company. They did not pay me. So I hired attorneys, and they got disbarred. And then I had contractor fraud. And then now I've hired Cox, Philo, Campbell, and Wilson, so now they've let the funds go. So now I'm ready, but I have the list here, if y'all would like it.
Okay, so my understanding is that house was moved there in 2016,
That's correct.
and it hasn't been lived in
That's
since.
correct, but all the work was done completely, and the hurricanes hit it, and then 2 tornadoes.
Okay, so it's also, it's still sitting on the blocks that the moving company left it on, right?
That
It's
is how
not
they're,
blocked up.
those are called piers, and yes, ma'am, they will stay there. That is permanent.
So
That is permanent.
And it's never been connected to power, water, or
No,
sewer?
ma'am, it has not. The hurricanes hit, but as
In
you can
8
see, I
years.
did over $50,000 worth of construction to that home, and I have those pictures with me as well already. So,
And-
and it's an income-producing property for the parish. I've been paying taxes on it for years. I lost my original home in Rita, another one in Ike, in '08, another one to a house fire, and I wanted to replace my original home. Right now, I have a mobile home on the property until I can get this done. However, I broke my back 2 years ago, and I have those documents with me as well, and was unable to continue. It's as
And-
simple as
and
that,
so-
and put
yeah.
on chemotherapy.
Right.
But it's my understanding that you're the one that recommended the house for demolition. After not seeing the house, you told me on the phone you could not find it.
No,
So
I
I'm not
did see the house.
understanding.
I looked at the
Well,
house
we all see
first.
the house.
So the question is,
Mr. President,
Yes.
this lady's out of
Yes.
line. I mean,
You
she
just
needs to
state
only-
your case.
Exactly.
You just state your
Yes.
case.
Absolutely.
And that's all you're here to do, okay?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I have the list, I have the funds completely. It's 10 squares of roofing, 23 panels of drywall, and 16 windows. The piers are stable, none of the
So-
pads have
Okay.
sunk. We've measured them, they haven't sunk more than a 1/4 inch since it was moved in, okay? And it's in much better condition, I believe, than, So I'm just asking for a 30-day extension. I can get all this done in 30 days.
Mr. Barris.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. You seem to know everything else, but you don't know why you could, are you sure you're not trying to contact the city?
The city.
Who are you trying to contact? Because
Well,
our
the
people are
parish,
pretty
Mr.
damn good at
Rob-
what they, stand
Yes,
by.
sir. Yes, sir.
Our people are pretty good at what they do.
Yes, sir.
So you're sitting there saying you've been calling here and no one's answered you or no one's that's what I heard you say.
I have been trying to secure a permit, but since it's been on this list, they can't issue one. Okay, and prior to that, they told me that I needed an elevation certificate, which one was on file already, has been. So I didn't understand why they would
Did
issue.
you ever come up here personally?
No, sir, I broke my back and was unable to. I'm just now getting around. I'm also on chemo, and I'm doing the very best that I can. I don't have anyone to represent me in this, and I'm just now they changed my meds, and I'm doing better. So I'm ready to do this and get this work done and move in my home.
Well, I mean, Cox and Philo couldn't have sent nobody up here for you?
Well, I didn't want to ask them to do that. I didn't think it would, but they did get some funds released finally. So that's why I'm able
You
to
need to
move
get,
forward.
you need to get your permit straight.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna have somebody, that's gonna be their job,
Yes, sir.
to help you.
Well, thank you.
And if you got what you say you got,
Yes, sir.
you'll get your house situated.
Yes, sir. Okay.
We also, thank you, Ms. Cannon.
Thank you. Is that
So-
all?
We also have Miss Bertha Latour. Is Miss Bertha Latour here?
Or what? Oh, okay, got you.
Please state your name and address for the records, please.
Bertha Latour, and my address is 2933 Agnes Road.
Okay, and Ms. Latour, you're here to speak on behalf of the property as well?
Yes, it's right next to my property. Our property's right next to each other. The house has been like that since 2018 for a long time, and it's always the same excuse, gonna get it fixed, and it doesn't get fixed. We have to look at it. It's an eyesore. It's just making our property depreciate. You can't sell my house if I want, probably couldn't give it because nobody wants to move there. It's on a dead end, we're on a dead end road. Fire trucks, ambulance can't get there if that house was to fall from hurricane or anything else. The house also sits only 50 feet away from the house across the street, so it's awful close to the road. That's why I'm scared when hurricane comes and knocks the house down. I can't get out and nobody can come in. I'm on a dead end road.
Any questions for Ms. Latour? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We also, Lorraine LeBlue is here to speak on that property as well. Ms. LeBlue, please state your name and address for the records, please.
Lorraine LeBlue, 2882 Agnes Road, Lake Charles.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here about this house here. Since 2016, it's been across the street from me, and it's nothing but a big eyesore, no windows in it. We've got to keep our doors closed so we don't have to see it. Everybody comes to the house. How can you put up with that? I said, there's nothing we can do about it. We've been fighting it for 8 years, and it's brought our property value down.
Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Okay. So, do we, Ms. Mary Kay, do we have a recommendation?
I am not inclined to give her an extension. It's been 8 years. I've looked at the house. It's never been connected to power, water, or sewer, and I even checked with insurance. You can't get insurance on that house in its condition. So I'm going to make a motion to condemn and remove in 30 days.
Second.
We have a motion to condemn and remove in 30 days by Ms. Eason and a second by Mr. Landry. Any other discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1I, 2587 Red Davis McAllister Road in Lake Charles. Anyone here to speak on 2587 Red Davis McAllister Road?
Move to condemn and remove in
Second.
30 days.
We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1J, 6062 Mary Ann Street in Iowa. Anyone here to speak on 6062 Mary Ann Street in Iowa?
Motion to condemn and remove in 30
Second.
days.
We have a motion by Mr. Quinn and a second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1K, 5206 Fry Road in Carlos. We have Miss Karen Lynn or Holly Landry Hudson. Is that correct? Please state your name and address for the record.
Karen Lynn Rougeau Holly Hudson. I live at 5202 Fry Road in Sulphur, Louisiana, 70665.
Okay, Ms. Hudson, what would you like to tell us on the property?
The house actually belongs to my son, and he has had some hardships and all. The lumber to fix the house is right there. I just paid over $700 in lumber, and he has began working on it. Right there, they had cut the wall open not long ago because there were bees in it, and he had to get the bees removed. And he had damage from the hurricane, and he's just been slow about getting it done, but he has started working on it. That's all closed in. Closed in now.
Okay. Sir, are you going to speak on it as well? Please state your name and address for the record.
Ronald Hawley. My address is 5206 Fry Road, Sulphur, Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
I got my material and all, most of it I need, and I would like to fix my home so I can move back in it. I do have electricity there still.
Okay. Mr. Barris?
Please. Go back, scroll back up to the pictures if y'all can hear me. The exterior pictures. So, keep going. Yeah. So those were on the 15th of this month. Stop. Those pictures were taken on the 15th of this month, Wes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you said all those walls are closed in now?
all but right there where the scaffold is, that's where I had to cut the bees out. And the other opening is right there where, by the back door.
Is it fixed or is it covered?
I got the plywood on it, but I gotta put the white wrap on and then put the vinyl siding back on.
In 15 days, you have been a busy bee. Cause man, that's a lot of work. If you did that other side,
I got the other side closed in. I got a little bit of work, where the window is at the back of the trailer.
and there's power to this home,
Yes, sir.
sewer.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I hadn't even heard about it yet. I hadn't heard anything about it. Like, have they reached out to y'all?
I don't know.
Mr. David? Today?
My son had went to try to get another permit, and because it had been classified for this, they wouldn't let him have the permits that he needed to do the work that he needed to do to get it fixed.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, can you come up? I wanna, let him talk right there. Okay, so, has he got were they denied a permit, to
Well,
your knowledge?
Can I
what-
answer that?
Go ahead
Yes.
and let Mr. Crane answer that.
Will not issue a permit until they give us a list of the repairs. And if it's on the agenda for them to appear at this meeting, y'all have directed us for them to appear at this meeting and show why the structure should not be condemned. So
Right.
that's what the ordinance requires. And so I'm not sure if we've received a list of the repairs at this point in time. And so if they're doing work on it, they're doing it without a permit and without us having the list of repairs that need to be done to see if it can be repaired and see what the cost is.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to defer for 30 days. They are working on it. They did show up here tonight. A lot of people don't. Mr. David, his staff will help you, but you're gonna have to do what they say, because in 30 days,
Okay.
that's it. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, buddy.
We have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Burley to defer for 30 days. Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once they do that, you still gotta deal with the state fire marshal, don't you? I mean, because it's a mobile home.
Well, and,
Still has power. I mean,
but if it's not structural, then.
Then they're okay.
It's
Yeah.
okay, but if there's structural damage, then yes, they're gonna have to
Okay.
submit their plans.
Well, let's pray that there's no structural damage and she don't lose her $700 worth of lumber. I didn't get, because they gave their address as that address. So are they living there?
no, they gave it at 5202.
Oh, two,
Yeah, yeah.
nearby,
Yeah,
but
this
they're
is
not
next
living
door.
there
Right.
right now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 1L, 1010 South Perkins Ferry Road, Moss Bluff. Is there anyone here to speak on 1010 South Perkins Ferry Road?
Move to condemn and remove in 30
Second.
days.
We have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 3A, adopt a resolution approving a professional engineering contract for
Move.
Highway 14,
Second.
Carbina Road, Highway 397 Water Main Loop Project. We have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by, who was it? Mr. Abshire. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 3B, adopt resolutions approving permanent public facility servitudes
So
for
moved.
East Calcasieu
Second.
Parish Consolidated Water Works projects. We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Quinn. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 3C,
Move on 3C.
adopt a resolution
Second.
approving the resubmittal of an application for fiscal year 2025 to 2026 capital outlay request for the gravity sewer trunk mains and pumping stations for the South Ward 3 and South Ward 4 project. We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Move on 3D.
3D, adopt a resolution approving the parish's participation in the federal off-system bridge rehabilitation and replacement program. We have a motion by Mr. Andrepont and a second by Mr. Guillory. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 4A.
Move on 4A.
Approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the police jury dated July 2nd, 2024. We have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Andrepont. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 4B, adopt a resolution calling a special election for Waterworks Sub-District Number W of Ward 3, District Number 12, to renew, levy, and collect a tax of 10 mil for the purpose of maintaining and operating the district's waterworks system.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Landry
Second.
and a second by Ms. Eason. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 4C, adopt a resolution approving a call by Community Center and Playground District Number 4 of
Move on
Ward
4C.
1
Second.
to renew, levy, and collect a special tax of 2 mil for the purposes of improving, maintaining, and operating the district's senior citizen center. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Quinn. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 4D.
Move on 4D.
Adopt the resolution approving a call by Houston River Waterworks District Number 11 of Ward 4 and 7 to renew, levy, and collect a tax of 5.51 mils for the purpose of maintaining and operating waterworks facilities in the district. We have a motion by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr., you said Burley? Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carried. I guess that wasn't Mr. Burley, huh? 4E, adopt an ordinance approving the consolidation of voting precincts as follows. 1, consolidate precincts 309E with precincts 309W. 2, consolidate precincts 313E with precincts 313W. 3, consolidate precincts 316W with precincts 317. 4, consolidate precincts 319N with precincts 319S. And 5, consolidate precinct 701 with precinct 700.
So move.
We've got a
Move on all
motion on
bullets.
all bullets by
Second.
Mr. Guillory and a second by Mr. Landry. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 5A, adopt a resolution approving financing of bonds for the purpose of financing the cost of certain additions, acquisitions, repair, and/or expansions needed to police jury-owned works of public improvements.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Ms. Eason. Any
Mr. President.
discussion? Yes, sir.
Madam Secretary, can you let the record reflect that I abstained from voting on this item? Thank you.
Okay, let the records reflect that Mr. Abshar will abstain on this vote. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 6A, adopt a resolution
on
approving
6A.
a grant agreement for the program year 2024 and fiscal year 2025 Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act Title I funding allocation for the 6 parish consortium. We have a motion by Mr. Lewis and a second by Mr. Markentile. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Move on 7A.
7A, approve payments of all current invoices. We have a motion by Mr. Angelpont and a second by Mr. Quinn. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 7B, adopt a resolution on
7B.
bids, East Calcasieu Parish, for East Calcasieu Parish Consolidated Waterworks Project, Phase 1. Staff recommends the low bid of Trahan Construction LLC in the amount of $2,209,135.79 be accepted. We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Abshire. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 7C, adopt a resolution on bids
Move on 7C.
for Louisiana 3092 Roundabout Waterline Relocation Project.
Second.
Staff recommends the low bid of Hackley Enterprises LLC in the amount of $540,989.36 be accepted. We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Ms. Eason. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 7D, adopt a resolution on
7D.
bids for the East Calcasieu Parish Consolidated Waterworks Project, Phase 2. We have a motion, staff recommends the low bid of Trahan Construction LLC in the amount of $911,806.75 be accepted. We have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Abshire. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 7E, adopt the resolution on bids
Move on
for the
7E.
River Bluff Park Pavilion and Walking Path Project. Staff recommends the low bid of Keelan Construction LLC in the amount of $5,297,000 be accepted. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Quinn. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 7F, action on bids for herbicides and
Move on
weed
7F.
control chemicals. Staff recommend the bids of Helena Agri Enterprises LLC, Heritage Landscape Supply Group, Inc., Nutrient Ag Solutions, or Orion Solutions, Red River Specialties, and Target Specialties Products be accepted. We have a motion by Mr. Markintel and a second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 7G, advertise for
on
requests for
7G.
qualifications for architectural services for the Mallet Junction Community Center and Playground. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Guillory. Mr. Guillory.
Mr. Dean. Thank you, Mr. Dean. Thank you. You and your staff, thank you.
Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8A, Workforce Development Board.
Move to appoint.
1, Ms. Donna Bailey. Appoint Ms. Carrie Broussard. 2, Logan O. Morris. They want to defer that one for 60 days. And Lonnie Harper is a defer for 60 days. Mr. Smith, is that your motion?
Yeah, move to approve.
Motion.
Yes. Motion to approve, yes.
The motion is to approve Ms. Carrie Broussard and to defer
For 30 days.
for
60 days.
60 days, Logan Morris and Lonnie Harper. Any discussion? We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Markintel. Motion carries. 8B, Calcasieu Cameron Hospital Service District. See,
Move to
reappoint Mr. Robert Davison and to reappoint Mr. S. Mark
Move to
McMurray.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Clement and a second by Mr. Angelpont to reappoint Robert Davidson and S. Mark McMurray. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8C, Community Center and Playground District Number 4.
Motion to
of
appoint
Ward
Mr.
1.
William Edwards.
We have a motion to appoint Mr. Mr. Edwards. Motion by Mr. Quinn and a second by Mr. Markintel. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8D, Community Center and Playground District Number
First 60
7
days on 8D.
of Ward 2. Motion to defer for 60 days by Mr. Markentile, and a second by Mr. Gwynn. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8E, Industrial Development Board of Calcasieu
Move
Parish.
to reappoint Mr. Rick Richard.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Andrepont and a second by Mr. Barris to reappoint Mr. Rick Richard. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8F, Ward 1 Fire Protection
Motion to
District
defer for
Number
30
1.
days.
Second.
It's a motion to defer for 30 days by Mr. Quinn and a second by Mr. Burley. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8G, Ward 4 Fire Protection District Number 4.
Move to reappoint Mr. Joe McMillan.
We have a motion by Mr. Andrepont and a second by, who was it? Mr. Clement to reappoint Mr. Joe McMillan. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8H, Waterwork District Number
Move
9.
to reappoint
of
Mr.
Ward
Ray
4.
Taylor.
There's a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Clemens to reappoint Mr. Ray Taylor. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 8I,
Move to appoint Father Henry.
Calcasieu Parish Public Trust Authority. A motion to appoint Mr. Father Henry Mancuso by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr. Landry. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. 9 is board advised items. 10 is same thing, advised items. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, need a point of personal.
Point of
Point
privilege?
personal too?
You got a question?
No, I'm okay, Mr. Gary, thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Hold on,
Mr.
before we
President.
adjourn, I'd like to wish Mr. Barty happy birthday, if y'all would join in with me.